So I'm going to show you how to paint your swatches, and I'm going to show you how to paint the first one. So I am going to start out by painting the hue, which for mine is blue. Yours could be red or yellow. It just depends on what you want to use. And for this, I'm going to start off with my big flat brush. I'm going to start off with this one, just because that will get the most area painted quickly. And what I mainly want to show you is how to paint flat so you don't have streaks. So I'm going to start off by just putting a little bit of paint on your paper, and you're just going to kind of wiggle your paintbrush up to the line and then drag it across. Wiggle up to the line, drag across. Wiggle up to the line, drag across. And you want to make sure you don't have too much paint. Otherwise, you're going to get big globs. You want to try to paint as flat and as not gloppy as you can. You don't want big areas of paint. So you're just going to drag your paintbrush across, trying to fan out your paint, spread it out so you don't have big globs of paint area in places. And as you can see with this flat brush, you can like come right up to your line and just drag your paintbrush across. And if you flatten your brush out a little bit, you get a pretty nice line. And it might take a few coats of paint to get it as flat as you can. And when I say flat, I mean even, like even paint, no white areas, everything is nicely painted in. I'm going to turn this so I can get this corner. You can always turn your paper if you need to, like I did, to make sure that you're painting in a natural way to you. And again, I'm just butting up right against the line and dragging. Dragging across the line. And then once I have it all filled in, I'm just going to go over it a few times just to make sure I have it blended together nicely. So I can see streaks in mine right now. That's because this paint dries relatively quickly. And if you're painting over it while it's drying, it will pull some of the paint away. So I'm going to have to do another layer of this. And I'll tell you right now that just from the nature of our paint, purple and green will take a lot more coats than the other colors will. They're really more transparent than the rest of them. So they're going to take a lot more coats just to make sure you have it really flat. So just keep that in mind when you're painting with those. It's going to take quite a few more coats, especially with purple. So next, I'm going to let that dry. And next I'm going to paint the tint. So I've already mixed that over here. So I'm going to take some of this color and do the same process, but right up to the line and then pull it out into the shape. And again, flatten my brush out to really get a nice line and then pull the paint out to the middle. I'm going to turn my thing again. And I like to wiggle my brush along a straight edge, like this one, just to make sure I have it right up against. And then wiggle, 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 pull down toward the line. And I might run out of this color. I have to make more. I just try to use what I have up here. Wiggle up against this line. And pulling my paint down. Trying to fill in all of the areas and make sure that it's all filled in. And there is the tint. So next I am going to do the lowered intensity, which is the complement of blue, which is orange mixed with blue. The same process, kind of wiggle up towards the line and then pull through. Wiggle up to the line and pull through. So this one will probably take a few coats as well, because again, it's turning out to be more transparent. And we want it to be opaque. And transparent means see-through, and opaque is the opposite, so you can't see through it. Just make sure that you're doing long paint strokes to make sure it is as flat as possible and you don't have any streaks. Turning again. And the camera is not really picking up the color correctly, but when you see these in person, you will really see the difference in the colors. And you can see paint strokes in this. I'm just going to go one more time over to flatten this. And there's the lowered intensity. So last but not least, I'm going to do the shade, which is the color plus black. So again, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle up to the line. Pull through. Wiggle up to the line, pull through. Flattening my brush along that top line to get a nice edge. And doing that all the way across. So again, the camera isn't really picking up the difference in colors, but I'm sitting here in front of it and they are different colors. So lesson in this is make sure you mix enough paint. And there is how you do your swatches. Again, the camera isn't picking up the color quite correctly, but when you see it in person, they really will be different.